Welcome to Pocket Coaching. I'm Dr. Kate, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Today, we are going to be talking about the use of worry time. So what is that? You might find yourself kind of in a constant worst case scenario thought pattern. And if that's something that you do, a lot of people with anxiety can get caught up in worst case scenario and always thinking about the worst case scenario, always worrying about what's next. And that constant worry can be incredibly overwhelming. And we don't want that to take over, but it's really hard to go from worrying all the time to never worrying at all. And that's when we use worry time. This helps us transition from a space of always in worst case scenario, always worrying, to giving ourselves just a little bit of time every day to focus on those worries so we can let them go, so we can shift through them, so we can feel through them. And then the rest of our time, the rest of the time of the day, we get to just focus on the present and what's going on, because we know we have that little bit of time frame to worry when we get to it that day. So how do we do this? It's a limited amount of time. It's 10 to 20 minutes. And you allow yourself to just focus on your concerns. Instead of pushing worries away all day, you just acknowledge them and process them and then move forward in your worry time. So how do we do this? We want to pick a time and place. So I want you to pick a consistent time daily, preferably when you're not too tired or stressed. So maybe mid-afternoon or early evening. Once you've identified that consistent time of day, that time frame, I want you to set a timer for whatever your limit is. Maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 15. Don't go more than 20. We don't need to give ourselves a lot of worry time. But setting that time limit and setting a timer prevents overthinking and makes worries feel less overwhelming. I encourage you to write it down. Journaling your worries can help process them in a more logical way instead of in an emotional way. When you find a problem that can be solved or may have solutions, problem solve when possible. If a worry has a solution, jot down some small action steps that you can take. And if not, acknowledge that it's not something you can solve and let it go. Let it be. And then end with a transition. When the time is up, shift gears into a grounding activity. So that might be deep breathing, box breathing, the 5-4-3-2-1 method, stretching, or listening to music. So that's really kind of the key piece of worry time. Pick a time and place, set your timer, write it down, problem solve when possible, and end with a transition. Now, what are you going to do outside of your worry time when worry comes up? Acknowledge and delay. Remind yourself, I'm going to think about this during my worry time. Then jot it down in a notebook or in your notes app, and you can revisit it later. Ground yourself in the present. This is where I really like to use the simple technique of 5-4-3-2-1. So name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And take a nice big deep breath. You can breathe and redirect. Taking a few nice big deep belly breaths, then refocusing on your current activity, whether it's work, a conversation, or a daily task. Reframe the thought. Ask yourself, is this a fact or is this just fear showing up? Challenge worst case scenario by considering a more balanced perspective. So when we schedule worry time, we're giving ourselves permission to process anxious thoughts without letting them dominate your entire day. So over time, this practice helps reduce overall anxiety and increases your ability to stay present and in control. I hope that today's lesson was helpful and serves you. If it was, would you do me a favor? Make sure that you're subscribed to my channel and share this with someone else who needs to hear it. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to support you in these ways and with these small lessons. As always, I wish you to be well.